I have the pleasure of introducing our host and the fearless leader of this event and the Thunder and Lightning Poetry Collective, Valois J Vera, aka Crypt Lyrical, a disabled revolutionary, spoken word poet and spoken word artist, an activist based out of Denton, Texas. His experience and knowledge in disability justice, culture, and identity is well noted. He has served on several social justice boards and commissions and has garnered many speaking opportunities, including at the University of North Texas, Fordham University, and Azusa Pacific University. While his journalism can be found in New Mobility Magazine, Latino Rebels, and Rooted in Rights, their poetry has been published by Spoonie Press, Molly House, and soon to be released anthology, American Graveyard, Falls to End Gun Violence, Volume 1, from Red or Green Books. Their debut collection, Crypt Lyrics, The Unapologetic Poetry of Disability from Poor Press, is an illustrated collection of liberation verses guided by lived experience and self-reflection. He is the founder of the Thunder and Lightning Poetry Collective and performs a one-poet show called Crypt Poetics. Val.
Thank you, Laura, for that wonderful introduction. Welcome everyone to Storm the Mic, the virtual poetry experience exclusively featuring disabled BIPOC and disabled queer poets. It's an honor to serve as the host tonight and to share the virtual stage with some really good poets. You're in for a treat. It is our 1-year anniversary, so it was a year ago that we began doing this, and so we're gonna have fun. But before we get started, we're gonna do some housekeeping. Content warning, so just be aware that some of the poetry that will be presented may contain adult language or themes of trauma and oppression. Be comfortable and practice self-care. You're more than welcome to turn your camera off, lay down, sit down, take a break. If you need to log off and log back on, you can do that as well. Whatever best suits you. This space, is designed to support, uplift, and amplify. So that said, we do ask that you keep your microphone muted throughout the duration of the event, but we strongly encourage everyone to show your support by either snapping your fingers or clapping your hands if you are able to, or using the reaction button on the bottom of your screen. And here with Storm the Mic, we are firm believers and users of the chat area. So please feel free to throw in your words of gratitude and affirmation and love and cheers and all the good things in the chat for each poem, each poet. Also, the majority of tonight's poets will have their socials info, contact information, publication links, and pay links posted on the chat. And yes, tipping your poets is completely acceptable, but it's not required. So if a particular poem inspires you to do so, feel free. And feel free to connect with them and amplify their work. So on with the show. I will read a poem. So I wrote this poem last year before our first show. And I thought it'd be nice to dust it off and read it for this one. The poem is called Thunder and Lightning, Feast of the Peasants. Welcome, fellow creatives, artists, orators, and scribes. Tonight, we feast. We fill our souls with fresh fruits from the plantations of poetry. We fill our body minds with intoxicating wines from the vineyards of our verses. We fill the arena with a bouquet of perfumed imagery and melody. Majestically, an aromatic festivity of truth, power, and identity. Tonight, we feast. For we have been deemed peasants, denied of dignity for much too long. We feast, for we have been stripped of human rights much too long. We feast, for we have been muted, mocked, minimized, marginalized much, much too long. The hue of our skin, brilliant in its various shades of tradition, heritage, and values, is weaponized by eyes who see no value. The tone of our tongue, singing songs of generational tales and love language, is weaponized by ears who hear no love. The expression of our truths, who we interlock fingers with, who we embrace and commit our lives to, who we identify as, is weaponized by sanctimonious hatred and violence. Love is love, is love, is love, is love, is love, is love, is love. And tonight, we feast on love. With window-shaped scars, our face pressed against to look inside no more. We feast on love. With tragedy's trails embedded, our nightmare-laced memory no more. We feast on love. With righteous anger pouring, our God-placed universe no more. And to those who bear witness, let it be said that this feast, this partaking of poetic promiscuity, birthed a revival, the revolution. Let it be written that this feast, this festival of visceral verse, sowed seeds of symphony. And let it be known that this feast, this sanctuary of ceremony and song, was shaken by voices of thunder and brilliance of lightning. And that's that poem. Okay. Great, so we are going to get started with the show. And our first poet is an illustrator, graphic designer, and jewelry crafter with ADHD from the Philippines. It can be found online under the handle @drawnbydandy, D-A-N-D-Y. Poetry writing is one of their many interests. Please welcome to the virtual stage, Dandy Dy-Liacco. You're going to mess that name up. Dandy Dy-Liacco.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Val.
Thank you, Dandy.
Yeah, so this poem is called Love Incomplete. You say that you love me, but I am cut deep to learn that you offer a love incomplete. A love that excises what in me it finds is unworthy of loving, a flaw detrimental, a part of me which is no short of essential. Love rigid and narrow, it cleaves to the marrow. I throb at the tear where myself has been parted. A side which I cherished, you've cast off, discarded. If you claim to love me, I ask of you only, don't love me in part, you must love me wholly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dandy. That was beautiful. Yeah, so show Dandy some love in the chats. Do all the emojis up there. Follow their socials. And thank you and from joining us from the Philippines and starting your day off with us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dandy. Okay, our next poet. Laura, do we have Ray in the building? Yes, no, maybe so.
I have not seen them come in.
Okay. So I will go on.
So we might want to go on to
Yeah, go on to the
Natch.
next one. Yeah. All right, next up is a queer Chicanx autistic illustrator, science communicator, and habitual drag artist. They enjoy webcomics, sci art, their cats, and being space dust. You can follow some of their work on Tumblr and unfortunately Instagram and Facebook too. If you're on board with following spoony artists who take extended posting breaks with no apologies. Long die the algorithm. Give a warm welcome to Natch Azure. Welcome, Natch.
Hi. If you've heard that intro before, it's because I refuse to make a new one. I have two poems, and for once, I think both of them kind of fit the theme. So here they go. This one is for every boy and affiliate creature who had to be both Frankenstein and the monster, build a man's body from the ugly refuse of other people's slander, be the homewrecker and village freak, be the genius who solved his own death. This one is for every boy and affiliate creature who is Xochipilli and Achilles, a prince growing his garden, a warrior fighting a nation, a god to be worshipped, a mortal to be immortalized, in every way soft but invulnerable, strong from his own love, his love of men. And it's built around the idea no one loves men more than queer trans men. What clay says to the hand. Long ago, you were gone, present in everything, touching everything, unafraid of mistakes, made of mistakes, evolving, changing, becoming someone over and over again, becoming mountains and rainwater and creatures that dream themselves apart. At one point, at many points, you died. You never were. You never will be again. But that didn't stop you. It won't. You will be again and again and again. And now with hands that have held so much, in paws and claws and thumbs, you shape a part of yourself that you want to understand, but will never fully know. But you think you know, and the earth lets you. The stardust never settles. Someone that was once a person, that was once a mountain, that was once an ammonite, swims under your hand. Animations of carbon run wild in conversations you never left. In the whisper of old things, things forgotten, and things renewed, what the clay says to the hand, welcome home. That's all I got. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Natch. I love those poems. Those are good. Check out the links for Natch and support their work. And thank you for reminding me of our theme. Our theme tonight is We Are Poetry, as we end National Poetry Month. Just a reminder that we too are part of this space, that we belong in poetry spaces, and that we are indeed poetry. So thank you. Our next artist is the author of A Prayer for a Non-Religious Autistic and resides in the Pacific Northwest region of Turtle Island. They're a trans, non-binary white Jew. They're a Pushcart Prize-nominated poet, a degree-less college dropout, and they're available for poetry commissions. Their interests include Jewish folklore, books fine poetry, acrostics fine poetry, and COVID-conscious art, among many others. Watch out for the long-awaited poem, Gollum and the Librarian, which is releasing in the Journal Volume 3 on May 6th. Please welcome Lucas Sheelk.
Hi.
Hey, Lucas.
All right. I forgot to add content warnings to my pieces, so I'm going to do that really quick. I have two poems tonight. The first poem, the content warnings, it has a little bit of body horror. There's brief reference to anti-Semitism, classism, and the COVID-19 pandemic. in the second piece, as far as content warnings, there's just swearing as far as I'm aware. As for my description, I'm a white person with dyed red hair. You can't see my Elton John Rocket Man shirt, but I wanted to mention that as well. So the first piece I'm going to read is called Yossel the Working-Class Peacock. "18 evil eye amulets painted over healed shingles, scars along harp, sponge like feathers and skull. Accept terms and conditions pressed, why rent increase is justified and other OSHA violations erased. Secure in an apron pocket, an eye agate called golem, carved in humanoid, powered by nerve pain. Rumored to eat with brains whipped atop, skin flakes used as confetti sprinkles, a warning to fascists whose courage begins and ends with death. Rumored to be a unicorn or zombie, or whatever Goyim mistranslate. Don't let them in on the memes. Rumored obscene and B'Tselem Elohim. Emmet, just trying to survive." All right. And the second piece, thank you. And the second piece is inspired by my own Jewish conversion journey. I should also note this piece can be read or sung. I'm not the best singer, so I'm going to read it. But I welcome people who can sing better than I to, go with it. Anyways. "I became a Jew in the mountains, mikveh dunked at Seebeck Beach, weeks worth of salt water entered my mouth, thousands of years of history. Yes, it was a pain in the ass, but I became a Jew in the mountains, masked for pikuach nefesh. My conversion, the last task before my sponsoring rabbi said goodbye, and to Florida, post-divorce, he fled. Yes, it was a pain in the ass, but I became a Jew in the mountains, far from the Midwest, the plains, the snow, the only Jew in my family that I know. Silence from most, message received, but to the encouraging few, I love you. Yes, it was a pain in the ass, but actually I have quite a few notes."
Thank you, Lucas. I love that last piece. Yeah, so follow Lucas, support their work, and thank you for sharing. Great stuff. All right. Our next poet is joining us from Maryland, has been writing poems since October 2021. And before that, loved to do science. She is queer and multiply disabled, is a gender and uses any pronouns you would like. She is active in long COVID community and advocacy. Give a warm welcome to Jules Porte.
Hello, thanks everyone. A white non-binary person with dark short hair, wearing glasses. Behind me is a painting of a tree with red brown leaves. This first poem is called Bracing for Storms. Poison-seeded comrades. The enemy is self, is other self. Whip crack edge where light makes sound. Screen air pressure pump natural. Any sized eye will do. They rick-rack the scene, colors into mire, a swollen gulf of hollow meaning. I am fast feet in dream meadow. I am lost, I am light lost for hours missing. Deep sun down, holding the night up under us all, under the pitch and heave. The row and willow wander updraft. Make shape of air, like Annie says, holding the thing, holding itself, the thing. This one is called To Sophie, Unsent. Sophie, you would be the one. You come and go, and I still feel special, and broken bits of you reflect in me, reminding me my strengths are weaknesses in the context. Reliable, dependable, make myself a statue, while the organic world moans and twists under the weight of breath. We sing laughter. We hold hands out of time. These fractions of thought and memory, recounting a conversation a day or years ago. Do you feel like you are moving? Or is this life moving around? Hushing parts of you, prompting others. You come to me like seasons, the wind, enjoying climate retroactive. In a space for square pegs, shaved slow like wind erases, the steadfastness, the power I felt to do and effect. I move in other ways now, serpentine. I count blessings as seashells, postcards, and round things you'll send to me. I don't wait, I exist. Maybe we all do. This one is called Of Poems, thanks. To write one true thing, the fish out in the fog, disturbance or chimera, water surface longing for exit, a release. Is the inner earth's fire like a hypnotist fisherman? A slow burn draws him there, waking at odd hour from a dream, or the steam from washing the day's routine brings something up and out, or two. In the carousel of dreams, I cycle through inordinate color wheels, an internal logic made possible by some hidden eye, finding right pattern for the yearned for path. I am a sequencer, counting on lean filtered dreams and waking life, inspired by each of you to whom we've shared such to write about with now. Hats off, lover in the dream, capsized boat or wounded animal, and blanketed all around, a great landscape beckons to explore. This last piece is called Devotional. That's a short one. Were you more free, being more gay forever? How did you queer all your relations, unlock the key, sanction all your desires, and lay them out like flower beds? Thank you.
Thank you, Jules, for sharing that. Those are beautiful. Yeah, follow their work and support them. It's great. Yeah. Our next poet, okay, is a trans, non-binary, queer, and disabled writer and best of the net finalists. Their chaplet, Du et Diagnosis from Damage Goods Press, was published in 2019, and the work has appeared in Lunch Ticket, Yes Poetry, 8 Poems, Bridge 8, and St. Catherine Review, among others. Please welcome Alexandra Corinth.
Hello. Of course, now my cat decides that she wants to be awake. So you may get to see an appearance from her too. Thank you for this space, Val and Laura. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. It has been a month, and these pieces definitely contend with, they're all new. and they all contend with things that have been happening in the last month. So for content warnings, the first piece exclusively deals with violent transphobia. So if you need to, please practice self-care and mute me for the next like 2 minutes. It's explicitly responding to something that Candace Owens said. So we know how that's going to go. The second piece is about COVID, and the third piece is about the death of a colleague of mine and deals with religious trauma and grief. So please take care of yourselves first. This first piece is called Fool Me Twice, after Candace Owens. Quote, "To mutilate your own body because you love yourself, you're asking us to be fools. Absolute fools. Who would believe this?" Quote, or end quote, rather. Let's say annoying. Let's say pretty good actress. Let's say poor parenting. Let's say breasts and genitalia are not wings to be worshipped. Let's say being cisgender does not make you an angel. Let's say everyone uses pronouns. Let's say you can build a career around poor choice of words. Let's say drums are made for beating. Let's say the only literal part of me I hate is the one that forgives you so easily. Let's say pity is sometimes a weapon. Let's say pity is sometimes hate behind ivory gates. Let's say trans people are not dogs, but may be vegans. Let's say your praise of Freaky Friday is either calculated cruelty or a disquieting lack of awareness that is as hilarious as it is concerning. Let's say it's not mutilation, it's self-determination. Let's say if you see how the journey ends, you'd celebrate with us. Let's say we'd invite you to the party, but know the adage, fool me twice, and would rather be safe than targets. Let's say no one asked you. So this second piece is called Afternoon Glimpses. The ambulance pulls away with my apartment complex from my apartment complex without me in it. Instead, they take the 12-year-old with asthma or the grandmother of 4 who walks her dog every morning, or my next door neighbor who felt healthy until a week ago, but now can't stop coughing so loudly it echoes through the walls. I hear a baby crying, but I don't know where it's coming from. Should I cry too? My ex got the Christmas tree and the divorce, or maybe we threw it away. So much happened in October that I don't remember. Since it's just me and the cat in this shithole, I hang blue fairy lights around my bed, around the entrance to the bathroom, LED magic cast on pandemic living. Wind whips tree branches against my second floor windows. In Texas, this could mean winter or tornado or nothing at all. I close my eyes and try to sleep. Pretend my neighbors aren't partying while a virus ravages our city. Pretend a war isn't raging. Pretend I haven't been asleep for years. Thank you. And yes, she really does have excellent timing. Let's see if I can. Here she is. Being the perfect little attendant.
Thank you, Alexandra.
Oh, sorry, I do have one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just got distracted by the cat.
Oh, sorry, not okay. I'm sorry.
This is the last one, I swear. This last piece is called I Explained the Holy Trinity to Helen on the Way Home from Your Funeral. after Bruce August Jr. She, lifelong member of the tribe, is confused by the sermon sandwiched between musical performances. When I say sermon, I mean I haven't been inside a church like this in more than a decade, but the scars are as fresh as the day they were made. And I spend an hour trying to keep my blood to myself as their hymns reach my bones. Helen asks about Jesus, says, I thought he was just a good guy that was given higher status. And I stumble over stories implanted in my chest when I was 3 years old, the foundation of a fundamentalist childhood that wants to scream about the Son of God and his role in our salvation. Instead, as we drive south on Alma like soul, soul like ghost, I teach Helen about the Holy Trinity. Father, Son, Spirit in coexistence, and she says, but shouldn't God rule all? So I explain non-Trinitarianism, reference Gwen Shamblin, who she's never heard of, ramble along fractured tangents that feel more familiar than I want them to. By the time I drop her off, I feel an old fury shaking loose in me, mingling hot with the grief of losing you too soon, 38 and vibrant, the sun in our solar system, and I wonder what it means to forgive, what it means to truly let go. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Please support Alexandra's work, follow them on socials, and all the wonderful things. Our next poet, which I saw just came in, went to school at the Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington, on the land of the Stair-Charles Band of indigenous people of the Squaxin Island tribe. Today, she currently inhabits Dripping Springs, Texas, on the land of the Tonkawa Indians. They try to be more accepting of and satisfied by living in their own skin by writing about her struggles with sexuality, disability, grief, and belonging. Please give a warm welcome to Emily Sladick.
Hi all, thanks for having me, and sorry I joined late. To all the performers who've gone before me, I deeply appreciate you getting in front of the mic and all the work that it took to get there. So I hope to hear it next time. I have a piece tonight about a friend of mine who passed away 20 years ago. She passed away in Palestine doing civil disobedience work. So if you feel like you're staunchly Zionist, this piece probably isn't for you. It's pro-Palestinian, and it's close to my heart. So I'm not going to read the chat, or I'll kind of unmute myself just so I don't want to hear any kind of rebuffs to it. It's more a story about my grief. So thank you for the space, and I hope it goes okay. So here it starts. Notes on legacy, grief, a work in progress. You maybe expect to tuck some experiences away, like high school or jobs. There's a defined beginning and graduation point where you can seal it all up with its late papers and drunken nights and sordid scandalous affairs into a frozen Ziploc bag and store it away. Grieving Rachel, remembering Rachel, trying to live into action the work that we did at Evergreen doesn't fit in a bag. It's not a memory to move away from. It's more a house I live in. So for me, a legacy is currently inventorying what I remember, what keeps popping up despite the years and chaotic feelings I still become immersed in. I also, it's also about my right to claim space within legacy from justice, change perspective, and a grief perspective, because a lot of times I don't feel like I'm doing either very well. So this inventory of grief and social justice will include sharing some notes on approaches to direct action. I'm scrolling down. Often I feel alienated and annoyed in direct action organizing meetings. Too intellectual. We need to talk pain. We need to talk collective tears. We need to sew an overloved and worn out teddy bear back together again in the dark as we do overnight sit-ins. We need to recognize our heart connections with each other. We need to know what heart connections are. We need to give voice to them. Know that even though maybe you spend only a few months together in meetings, you are still forming a valid and important bond with each other. Honor it, take it to heart, and celebrate this time together. Trauma sometimes ends and/or reorders our communities. If you feel your mind running, perhaps unsure of where to go, who to call, what to say, reach out. Grunts accepted. Say what is hidden to your activist affinity group. Up until Charlottesville, I didn't deem it important or necessary to share my disabilities. I self-selected what seemed in my limits. I never was transparent with people about this. Rachel occasionally sometimes asked over a 6-month period before she left if I'd come to Gaza with her. I remember imagining how I might do in a war zone and thinking of all the uneven surfaces and rebar. It would have been easy to notice that I was struggling with movement a lot more than my peers, especially in that type of terrain. There are a lot of reasons for me not choosing not to go, but I remember thinking that this extra body concern is something that could distract from the group's focus. There probably could have been a way I brought it up to her or talked it over. Instead, I chose to keep it hidden. I wish I would have told her. Think about what you can disclose and receive. Receive each other's vulnerabilities as a way of weaving together a relationship and not seen as a point of weakness or something to be called out on. For a long time, still, I have shame feelings. I carry this loss too deeply. Most of the time, it is still hard for me to find myself, the right words, a stable reflection on Rachel and my place in the world having known her. How, after 20 years, can I still not sum it all up? I talked to a few friends, seldomly, who knew her. I am relieved and weirded out by our confessions that we still think about her constantly. In fact, I've used the words emotional loser before as a way to describe the feelings of shame around how I bring her into the present and remember her. Saying things like, intellectually, you know of ancestors who died during direct action. Look at Centralia, the Wobblies, Heather Heyer, Emmanuel Espon Piez Tehran, or Tortuga. You need to toughen up, work harder, overcome the misery. Or my apathetic response, the world is so big. How awful is it to lack the power to keep people from being murdered? We were just classmates. Were we really that close anyway? You weren't there, nor did you stay closely connected to the Palestinian right for self-determination. Rachel's call to action was drop everything and make it stop. You're indulging in your white privilege, grief, and safety. I have to be a powerhouse of change and agency. All these things having to do with shame. With this 20-year anniversary, I feel like I might be moving into a new phase of being more accepting towards this grief. Maybe next time we talk, in another 20 years, I'll have more memories to share what accepting grief is like. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
And I'm just going to quickly, I don't know if I sent this out, but I'll just quickly put the link to Rachel's foundation in the chat, and there, I'm going off mute. Thanks.
Thank you, Emily, for sharing your work. It's beautiful. Well, our last poet of the evening, it's a short show tonight, so is white, anti-Zionist, Jewish, and trans. They are disabled and chronically ill with EDS, autoimmune illnesses, and mental health stuff. Their work is about existing in a politicized, traumatized mind body, trying to find a way towards connection. They are immunocompromised and so appreciative of virtual spaces like this one. Thank you. It's welcome to the virtual stage, Liv Grace.
Thank you, Val. Hopefully people can hear me. I am a white non-binary person, like the intro said, with curly brown hair, lying in bed. The sun is kind of on my face. I have a few content warnings. The first poem that I'm reading has some like body horror. It's about gender, and the very first line has a word for sexual assault that might be hard for some people to hear. And then my third and fourth poems deal with death. It's interesting going next because I was also in Charlottesville and reference Heather in my last poem. Okay, and none of my poems have titles. My gender is the number of times I've been raped, divided by the number of times I've tried to reclaim the body I was born into, minus the dreams I have had where I was stardust or a tree or the rain or didn't exist at all. I am made of old nails and fluorescent light, like a fixture in an absurd film about a solipsist. I'm some sort of houseplant or a loaf of bread, anything to get through the night. My gender is riotous anger and Shabbos candles and tiny flowers and studded boots. My gender is mercurial and inextricable from madness. I'm a manic pixie dream cunt. I'm daddy in mommy drag. No one who hasn't had to kill themselves to grow into who they are can speak to the outright liberation, shame, free fall terror of that chrysalis descent into the unknowing, totally known before and after. I get these little waves of panic thinking about other people's cheekbones. My body is a fuck that I still haven't come to understand. You won't come to understand, and you can't make me come. My gender is high-waisted jeans and hating my ass half the time, loving it the rest, and wondering where exactly my legs meet my waist and which parts could just be retractable. How can something so much a cage be also the only place I know where freedom lives? Because my arms are a lie. I only believe in shoulder blades. The curve of my back is all I need when I have convinced myself that going suicidal because there is no word for the creature I am made of is just not fucking worth it anymore. The curve of my back is fine. My gender is the Blue Ridge Mountains and wordless revolution songs. It's a river running through itself. It's the sky on fire. My gender is just a little amuse-bouche to prepare your palate for the magnificence of my corporeal form. It's trifling compared to the whole queerness of me. The next one. We never got to finish watching Pose. You made me stop one episode in because you can't stand being sad even on TV. Did you ever love me? I repeat like a prayer while taking down the pictures of a happier version of you. Last spring feels Paleolithic. I knew the things I knew, but kept them secret from myself because of the brightness of you. This is both a love letter and an obituary. This is a confession. This is a silent note at the end of a song you were never going to listen to anyway. I inherited many things from my mother: a genetic illness, autoimmune conditions, curly hair, farsightedness, and a sadness passed down from her mother, the product of neglect, or worse, which I refuse to pass down again. This epigenetic depression is the grief of being alone with her voice in my head, the grief of decades reparenting myself instead of having a child, the loss of family as if it ever was one. And then this is the last one. All of my ancestors were too soon dead, barely elders before we made them monuments. And I trip on my sense of self looking for them. I confuse time back or forth, looking for my history that maybe hasn't happened yet. I'm not quite Stone Butch, and Mary Oliver feels like home sometimes, but do I understand Moss enough to claim her? Can I kin with immortalized Crips who every Crip I know knew, but I did not? Or the anti-fascist younger than me who died while I survived? Death pulses and drops, disappears and comes roaring back. The hot, white hot, dead, hot grief holds my fractured selves in place. I've built an altar to dropping out of school and forgetting what it feels like to have energy to cook. I've built an altar to dying slowly. I've asked for the rain to come, the unrelenting rain from February. I wanted to watch it happen again, that slow build of fire to flood, of one kind of destruction towards another. Release, to be suddenly awash with relief from pain before being cranked at the joints again, marionetted, all elbows and pills, hash oil and arthritis cream, musky bedsheets and lost friends, desperately searching for meaning in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Liv. Appreciate that. Those are wonderful. Yeah. Feel free to follow Liv on their socials and support their work. And that closes us out for the evening. I want to first thank all of our poets that performed, sharing your work and sharing your vulnerability with us. Thank you always. To Arts Spark Texas and Coalition of Texans with Disabilities for their support and providing our ASL interpreter and cart captioning. Thank you to our ASL interpreter and cart captioning services. And finally, thank you to all of you who attended and shared space with us, even if it's just for a little bit. Our next Storm the Mic event is quarterly, so we will be here July 28th. So, mark that on your calendar. And also, just a reminder that Thunder and Lightning Poetry Collective also provides workshops. And those are the third week of the month. So there's one on the third Tuesday, the one third Thursday, and one on the third Sunday. If you have any questions, you can email thunderandlightningpoetry@gmail.com. And that wraps up our show, everyone. Thank you very much for being here, and enjoy your weekend.